Okay, thank you very much for stroking our egos. I think we have had enough of it today. I wanted to know about your stance on Marty Rathbum, because this is quite a figure that has popped up recently. And I would like to know how we should treat this guy. I mean, on one hand, he is doing damage to the organization. On the other hand, he is making these ridiculous comparisons of himself to Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and I'm thinking, well, is he the guy who could be the next leader of Scientology and could turn the same system into something similar as we are seeing right now, or what should we think about him?
I'd like to comment on that, if I could. What you're seeing with Marty Rathbum is what my peer described, the decompression. I don't know if how many people have researched about the things that I've written on the internet, but Marty's Rathbum introduction to the Sea Org. Any anonymous person read that? Okay, I'm going to tell you real quick about it. In 1977, I was in the big nasty blue building in the RPF. One of the other buildings where they made the books called pubs, the publication orgs. The commanding officer there, name was Diane Coletto, and she was married to her husband who worked in the same organization. His name was John Coletto. Well, you know, Scientology at that time, you know, was sending people to the RPF because they had a certain manifestation that happened when they picked up the cans that they call a rock slam. And everyone who picked up the cans and had the funny e-meter thing going, they put in the RPF. Now, it just so happened that they had recently bought that building and they needed to renovate it all to put these new orgs in, AOL, LA org, what they call ASHO, the American St. Hill Organization, rat-a-tat-tat. Well, the next thing you know, there's about 189 people on the RPF. It just so happens that people with a funny needle phenomena suddenly became people to work labor-free, constructing their buildings night and day. And that's what we did. Well, one day, you know, we had a room where during a certain period of time, we were to audit each other. And this was like way up, and we were looking over a street that's now called L. Ron Hubbard Way, God help us. And one day we were auditing, and we hear this. Pop, 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 pop. What happened? John Coletto was told that he had to divorce his wife, Diane Coletto, because he was an SP, and he was slowing down the sale of books and the dissemination of books and whatever with the pubs. And they convinced her to divorce him, and they put him on the RPF. This made him crazy. This drove him insane. He broke out of the RPF. He got away. Now, Marty new into the Sea Org. Just finished his welcome to the Sea Org stuff. He's now assigned, he called in and said he was going to kill his wife. Marty was the person assigned to watch the wife because while they searched for John Coletto. Back to the day of the pop, pop, pop. Diane Coletto and Marty Rathbum were coming around the corner because he had her in the car and he was bringing her into the front of the building where I was. Out of the bushes jumps John Coletto with a gun. His wife, pow, 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 pow. Blood and guts everywhere. Marty, the gun to him, click, click, click. He had run out of bullets. As he sat there with bone, brains, and blood all over him. This was Marty's introduction to the Sea Org. When that happened, they took him because he wanted to get the hell out. He was completely freaked out. They took Marty and put him kind of on a similar thing like they did me, where he couldn't go anywhere. He was under guard all the time, and he needed all of this auditing to run this incident out. In other words, to try to erase in his mind what he saw and experienced. That was Marty's introduction to the Sea Org. During the entire time that I was in the Lisa McPherson Trust, one of the things that I would do was to always tell Marty it's safe to come out. We need you out, because he wanted to go and he couldn't. He stayed in there and got the rest of the brainwashing treatment. When Marty got out, he was afraid to talk to me because of the persecution that he and Mike Render had put me through for talking. People, I don't know, anonymous, other people that got out actually made him talk to me. Because he was still saying, oh, Jesse's just a drug addict, he's this, he's that, and the other thing. And then he called me, and we talked. I could have, at that moment, said to Marty, you know, you bloody, bloody, bleep, 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 you know, and but I didn't. Because that's not why I was protesting, that's not why I was the vice president of the trust. I wanted people out of there. So now he's out, and I said, you know what, Marty? I'm so happy that you're out. First, because you can't pursue me anymore. You're not pursuing me. And he was a formidable enemy of mine. And we kind of laughed about that. And he said, you know what, Jesse, I always respected you. Because yesterday when I told that little story about putting the guns on the people, he was one of them. And he was one of the persons that tried to grab me and endured the wrath of my karate training. And he said, you did that. And to me, I could not forget that because you stood up. And you know, I said, well, Marty, again, I'm happy you're out so that you can't pursue me anymore. I know you're gonna get your life right. I know you're doing this alternative Scientology thing. And to me, that's okay. I would much rather have you doing that than what you have been doing all these years. Because I know there's gonna come a time when he's gonna unravel. If we put too much pressure on him at this point, he may go back. Because the reason why the Lisa McPherson Trust doesn't exist today, because the president of it, Stacey Brooke, who did so much to help people, went back to Scientology. We don't want that to happen with Marty. We don't want him to go back there because he's much more formidable inside than outside doing this little pissy thing he's doing now. So my advice, or if I could say anything that would influence how you feel about Marty, is give him a little bit more time. And let's not get him in a position where he could go back into power for evil. Thank you.